Welcome to a special edition of SB Talks. Today I am joined by our Director of Benefits Advisory, James McFarland. Welcome, James.
Thank you, Vincent.
And today James and I will be discussing our latest white paper, Rising Costs, Rising Concerns. James, perhaps you could start us off by just providing a little bit of backdrop on the white paper, how you came together in terms of pulling together the data to write the paper.
Yeah, definitely. So here at Stanford Brown, I head up our Benefits Advisory division, and we deliver benefits advice, benefits structuring and management, as well as financial wellbeing services to corporate employees in Australia. Over the last 5 years, we've been delivering what we call the FinFit program, which is our own dynamic financial risk assessment tool that we run in workplaces where employees complete a bit of an overview of their financial health, and at the end of that we end up with a lot of really interesting data as to what the challenges are for employees. What we've done this time is we've looked at data from the last 12 months and compared it to the 3 years prior,
Right.
just to really see how is inflation impacting people, increased mortgage rates, etc., and see how that's actually affecting the employee base.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, I might start by taking a little step back if I can. The last 5 years, well-being is a much used word, potentially overused, very much in the corporate context. Can I ask you how you would think about financial well-being? What does it mean, and why the importance of it to both, obviously, individuals, employees, but also to employers?
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the word well-being, especially when we talk about finances. I think it's more a reference of health. You know, if you're taking care of yourself and you're healthy, you're a productive individual, both in the workplace but also at home. When we're talking about what does a financially healthy person look like, it's someone who's in control of their situation, in an understanding of where they sit, and making active choices and setting goals, etc., to get themselves into the position that they want to be. Unfortunately, we live in a culture where we don't really learn this at school. We don't talk about it at home. We really learn on the fly. So we find that a lot of our employees, bringing it back to the workplace, are really unsophisticated when it comes to finances. Unfortunately, a lot of people I talk to who are the decision makers in these corporates, they are the financial controllers, they are a lot more financially minded, and they get quite surprised when I point out to them that, over 50% of their employees, they don't budget. They don't know where they sit financially. They're significantly financially stressed. And there is a bit of an element of head in the sand, don't know where to start. And
it's fair to say, you could make a broad-based assumption based on the seniority of someone's role, that someone's in a senior role or obviously a very intelligent individual. Theoretically, they should have an understanding of this, but as you point out, they haven't been taught this in school necessarily. There's nowhere in the world that they've been taught this, so it's not uncommon for people in quite significantly senior roles to still have their financial well-being not in a good place. Basically, they're under financial stress.
Exactly. I think the old saying, money doesn't bring happiness, can sometimes bring more stress. When you're talking about your executive team, your senior managers, they might be working 60-hour weeks. They've got a lot of workplace stresses. They may not be the financial controller for the household because they're too busy in the workplace. So that's uncertainty of where the money's coming, where it's going, you probably know where you want to be in 10 years, but what's the roadmap to actually get there? That causes a lot of stress and concern, both at an individual, but also a family level as well.
Yeah, I think if you are worried about the finances to just get through the week or the month, it's pretty hard to have a clear head to think about any other things. So what are the biggest challenges as you sort of reflect on the data and sort of through the white paper that you're seeing employees face today?
Yeah, it's really a lack of understanding about the basics of having more come in than go out. Cash flow and budgeting. It sounds like almost a swear word when you deliver seminars on those two topics. But
certainly not the sexiest of topic. Let's get together for a good budgeting session.
It is not. But in the white paper, we actually talk about those people who do actually control their cash flows and have an understanding about what their goals are, and actually show what their different outcomes are as a result. So they tend to be less financially stressed. less, almost 10% less, and they seem to have more control around their debts and much less financially worried. So from an education perspective, the basis really is cash flow budgeting. Know what's coming in, managing what's going out, not overextending.
Feel in control.
Feel control.
Confident.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you mentioned, we talk about sort of control. I guess the longer term, one of the big things that everybody's working towards is maybe the life after full-time work. And you're seeing, as long as, I guess, the pressures around debt and mortgages, a declining confidence around the ability to retire.
Yeah, so it's significantly reduced over the last 12 months. Those leading into retirement, so age 60 to 65, we're seeing about 67% of respondents are really concerned about retirement.
Right.
It's a major financial concern of theirs. But if we look at the younger ages as well, with the 25 to 35-year-olds, you've still got about 40%-ish that are really concerned about how am I ever going to retire. It's not an imminent concern, but it's something that is in the back of their mind. When you think about it, I can't manage my cash flow. I'm got high mortgages, got high school fees coming up. How am I ever going to get to that retirement goal? So that's part of a lot of what we do at the moment in the seminars we deliver, is talking about those aspects.
Yeah, and I guess what would you suggest the role could be for employers in trying to help address this?
I actually think it's an opportunity. Employers are always looking for what are the 1%ers, what can we do for our employees that's a little bit different to what other employers deliver, how can we support staff in a way that is meaningful and actually empowers them to take next steps. So that's across all your benefits offerings, no matter what you're delivering. Financial health or financial wellbeing, especially over the last probably 12 to 24 months, has become a very hot topic in the HR circles and in the benefit circles, and a lot of employers are starting to embed that financial well-being pillar under their workplace programs. What does that look like? I can talk to what we do. Yep. There's a one-to-many and a one-to-one kind of service offering. When you're talking about your executives, you're probably looking for a more one-to-one offering where an employer might actually provide support at a family level, funded to deliver financial counselling, financial support. And that'll be the executive and their family sitting down with an advisor.
So you're talking about sort of broader financial planning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it could be full financial planning. It could just be a soundboarding. It could be some modelling. It could be some strategy. Whatever the executive needs at that time. Take a level step down. We run our FinFit program, which is the dynamic tool which I've already talked about. Once an employee finishes that tool, they get scored around the areas of financial health that they could improve. And we do have a platform of education that's actually provided immediately off the back of that as well. We then use that data to come into employers and actually talk through their census data, talk about what the hot topics are for their particular cohort of employees, and then we design an education program. And that can be small groups, it can be one-to-many seminars, lunchtime sessions, lunch and learns, it can be in person, it can be digital. And then lastly, just to underpin that, we usually put an advisor on site to do 15-minute, 20-minute consultation. So if someone's got a question they want to ask and they don't feel comfortable in a group forum, they would typically book into one of those sessions and they can ask for some information.
Now, a lot of the things that you're talking about are really just trying to improve people's knowledge, their confidence, their security level, feeling in control. Did you see anything in terms of the white paper and the data that came back to you in terms of the varying insecurity levels or low confidence levels across different demographics? Were there any particular concerns?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I think it comes back to who in the household is the person managing the monthly budgets, etc. We did find the data show that females were far more concerned around cash flow and budgeting than males. We also found that obviously closer to retirement, those percentages towards retirement confidence did reduce quite significantly as well. From an income perspective, even though higher incomed people, I'm talking 250,000 plus, were less financially stressed, it still was 1 in 10, 1 in 5 that were really quite worried as well. But the big cohort and I'd say probably opportunity from an employer perspective, I think, is that age group between 35 to 45, where you've got hardworking people on decent salaries but have big mortgages, have children going to school, have new babies coming along. They've also got older parents that they're supporting. They're really what we call the sandwich generation. They're probably the most need at the moment.
Stretched in all directions.
Exactly.
And at a particularly expensive stage of life as well.
Exactly.
Can you share any success stories you've had where you've worked with employers and particularly across the area of sort of raising financial confidence levels?
Yeah, definitely. So our FinFit program, which I talked about, we do run that quite often, quite across a number of different type of workforces. We ran with one recently, which was an engineering firm, multiple sites. It was a digital offering that we delivered, and we ended up with about 50% engagement levels across their workforce, which is a significant number, especially when you're talking about digital end-to-end delivery. And that was 50% across the tool itself, but also the sessions. A lot of people just booked straight into the sessions because that was a topic that they were interested in around debt, etc. We also run quite a number of executive programs. And again, it goes back to that misconception that people who are earning a lot of money should have this under control and are not financially concerned. A lot of those meetings that I sit in on, it's quite interesting to see how their attitudes change throughout the meeting, and when they do leave, the level of confidence, just knowing that there's someone sitting there that's helping them bring their quarterback and really giving them a bit of greater understanding of where they are and where they're going to go. Interesting.
And as they begin to look into the future, what do you think are some of the key trends that employers should be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, there's a lot of digital solutions coming out. Like our tool is one. There has been a lot of digital solutions that are coming out that are trying to be an end-to-end, all-encompassing solution. I found that quite challenging, especially from an employee engagement perspective, because I think they like the human touch as well. Yeah. I think there's a position for it to play, and we've included that in what we're doing. But I think that bringing back those lunchtime sessions, those education sessions, those financial counselling sessions where people can sit one-on-one and actually talk to a person about these kind of things, that is a big focus.
There's almost an abundance of digital now, such that if your only interaction is digital, it's sort of it just can get lost in the ether, and it's sort of about finding the right balance between the human piece and the digital.
Exactly. And we can see that in our engagement levels. So companies where they communicate the offering, communicate the education program via email, via town halls, via one-on-one promotion, we do get those 30 to 50% engagement levels. Those who put it through their Slack or Teams or just via general technology, the engagement levels, you'd be lucky to get 10%. So there's a lot to say about that human touch.
You can see the impact that it has. And a couple of questions just to round us out. What do you see as sort of the future of these programs, and what advice would you give to an employer that sort of this is coming onto the radar and they're now thinking they need to do something in this space?
Most employers do have a wellbeing philosophy. If not, then it's very simple as how do you actually help your employees across their physical, mental and social domains. The extra pillar is financial. Financial is the number one cause of stress in employees' lives. It can cause a lot of emotional and physical ailments as a result as well. So it's becoming a core piece of what their benefit offering is to their employees. Moving forward, once that gets normalised, I think employees moving from one workplace to the next are kind of expecting some form of education and support in that personal financial domain. If an employer is not really providing
nothing in that space.
Exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, they don't know where else to turn when they're looking for this bit of information. So it's a good opportunity for employers that want to go one level above and support their employees, just to give a plus 1%.
Excellent. A wonderful overview and a great introduction to the white paper. So for any of you that haven't had a chance to read it yet, it gives just a beautiful overview of the trends, clearly broken down, and some insights from it. So thank you very much for that, James.
Thank you, Vincent.
And thank you to all our listeners.